The Cubs are back home after a long 8-game road trip. Weather starting to heat up a little bit. Should be a great day for Cubs baseball here on WGN Sports. We're set for the Hyundai leadoff man as the Cubs host the Minnesota Twins. Hi again, everyone. Welcome to the leadoff man. I'm Len Casper. The Twins are here at Wrigley Field for the first time since 2001. The Cubs are coming off a 4-4 road trip. Let's check out the highlights from the final game of the trip in Houston. Another extra innings affair. Ryan Dempster, 2 excellent starts on the trip. His last 3 starts, he's now given up just 1 earned run, 4 strikeouts, no walks for Ryan Dempster. Very tight ball game. Cubs were down 1-0. Michael Bourne going up Tal's Hill, robbing Micah Hoffpower of extra bases. What a catch, one of the best we've seen all season long. Cubs down to their final couple of chances, and in the 9th inning, a former Cub, Troy Hawkins, the red-hot Derek Lee with an opposite field home run to tie it up at 1 apiece. We went all the way to the 13th inning without a run being scored. And Bobby Scales coming up with a big defensive play to throw out Miguel Tejada. Unfortunately, Hunter Pence would then walk and steal second base. 2 batters later, Lance Berkman intentionally walked, and for the 2nd straight game, Jeff Blum with a game-ending RBI single, and the Astros take 2 of 3. Tough finish for the Cubs on the trip. They end up going 4-4. The starters' ERA under 1 for the trip. 6 games of 8 were decided by just 1. We'll hear from the manager, Lou Piniella, as he's shaken up his lineup a little bit. But as we go to break, let's take a look at today's Hyundai dealer of the game, McGrath City Hyundai in Chicago. We'll be back.
The Hyundai Leadoff Man, brought to you in part by Walgreens, the pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs. And by your Chicago Hyundai dealers. Always a home run with America's best warranty. And now, Hyundai Assurance.
Time now to see who's in the zone, brought to you by AutoZone. Today's Cubs starter, Randy Wells, continues to deal quality starts. Unfortunately, still without a win, but he has a chance to get that first major league win today. That's who's in the zone, brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Let's hear from the manager, Lou Piniella, on the road trip. He says wasn't that bad at 4-4.
Look, the road trip wasn't bad. It really wasn't. I said that yesterday. We ended up on a little bit of a downer, scoring 1 run both games, but 4-4 on the road. I mean, nothing to really complain about.
When your club doesn't hit like this is about the only thing you can do is just shake a lineup.
We're going to try a few different things and see what happens. I mean, we've stayed pretty constant for 60 games or so. I think it's time to change things around a little bit.
Lou, are there tricks to shaking off frustration, not falling deeper into a hole?
Tricks? No, I think basically hitting-wise, what you want to do is just make contact. Your job is to make good contact. If you get a base hit, you get a base hit. I think going up there and saying to yourself, I've got to hit a double, or I got to do this, or just hit the ball hard, and wherever it goes, it goes. And most of the time when you hit the ball hard, you got a pretty good chance of getting a base hit.
Is that the same thing with Alfonso right now? Because he says this is like the worst slump he's had since he's been in this town.
He's been struggling some. He really has. But he's not the only one. This is not an individual thing. This is it's been a team thing, and it's been basically with men in scoring position. Look, there's no magic formula for it. I think it's like if a few guys start doing it, I think it becomes easier for everybody else.
The lack of hitting is one thing, but the lack of slugging has got to be even more surprising.
Well, look, they all go hand in hand, don't they? I mean, if we were slugging, then we wouldn't be concerned about hitting. They all go hand in hand. Home run-wise, we're okay. In other areas is where we've struggled. But look, the one thing about it is that I've maintained all along that sooner or later it's going to get better. I still feel that way. I mean, these guys have hit in the past. They're going to hit. It's just a question of when. And I said that our job was to stay in contact with the league, and we're doing that. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, but it's frustrating for everybody. It's just as frustrating for the players. They want to do well. We want to see them do well. The fans want to see them do well. But no, just do the best you can.
The Cubs have maintained contact, 2.5 out currently in the National League Central. We'll talk about today's starters as we continue the leadoff man.
The Hyundai Leadoff Man, brought to you in part by Walgreens, the pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs. And by your Chicago Hyundai dealers. Always a home run with America's best warranty. And now, Hyundai Assurance.
Now the pitching matchup today from Wrigley Field, the Twins and the Cubs. For the Cubs, it'll be right-hander Randy Wells, still shooting for his first major league win, a 1.86 earned run average. This will be his 7th start of the year. For the Twins, right-hander Kevin Slowey with 8 victories already. He has given up a ton of hits, 95 in under 73 innings. But one thing he does is he throws strikes. Should be exciting, the Twins and the Cubs. As we begin interleague play in 2009, we'll have the lineups, first pitch, and all the action coming up.
The following is a presentation of WGN Sports.
The busiest corner in town, Clark and Addison, as the Cubs are back home for a 9-game homestand. We're set for Cubs baseball on WGN Sports. Twins fans invading Wrigley Field for the first time since 2001. It's the Twins and the Cubs coming up. Both teams have been hovering around the 500 mark pretty much all season long. Hi again, everyone. Alongside Bob Brenly, I'm Len Casper. Nice sunny day, getting a little bit warmer as we inch towards summer. And Bob, this Cubs team has been able to kind of stay afloat here lately. We're going to go back to when Aramis Ramirez got hurt.
Yeah, we're really going to check the optimistic qualities of the Cub fans. If you look at this graphic that we're about to show you, when the Aramis Ramirez injury occurred on May 8th, the Cubs were 2.5 games behind in the Central Division. As of the start of the last road trip, where the team went 4-4, they were 4.5 games out. But today, 2.5 games back, and a huge thanks to the Colorado Rockies.
Yeah, they swept the Cardinals at St. Louis in a 4-game series, and then Milwaukee in a 3-game set. More on the Twins as we move along today, but they're kind of in a similar boat to the Cubs right now.
Yeah, they're sputtering along, a team that feels they're much better than they played up to this point of the season. As we take a look at the American League Central standings, the Twins sitting 4 games behind the division-leading Tigers at this point. And, of course, we'll see the White Sox next week as well. Very tight in that division, just like our division.
Twins a lot better at the Metrodome than they have been on the road. Now down to the field in our national anthem.
Kindly remove your caps and join Grammy Award-nominated singer Matthew Santos as he honors the United States by performing our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave? Oh, the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Well, those singing lessons really paid off for Matthew Santos. We're set for Cubs baseball. The Twins are in town. We'll have all the action next.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN TV, your official summer baseball station. Brought to you by Bud Light. With just the right taste that never fills you up, the difference is drinkability. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Dodge dealers. To find the dealer nearest you, visit DodgeRockChicago.com. The Illinois Lottery. Play the Illinois Lottery. Have a ball. By Pepsi. Every generation refreshes the world. Visit refresheverything.com. And by Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines is ready when you are. Go to southwest.com. Grab your bag. It's on.
You're watching the Chicago Cubs on WGN TV, your official summer baseball station. Cubs baseball in beautiful high definition is sponsored by Comcast. Oh, does it feel good to be home? After a 4-4 road trip, and the Cubs get into interleague play for the first time in 2009, 84 and 88 all-time against the American League. Let's check out their lineup. Brendan Harris will lead it off, the former Cub. Mauer and Morneau, their two best hitters. Kubel in right. Joe Creedy, a former member of the Sox back in Chicago. Michael Kadyr's playing center. Delman Young in left. Nick Punto just off the DL. He's at second. And Kevin Slowey does the pitching.
Let's take a look at how the Cubs take the field defensively today behind starter Randy Wells. Brought to you by Pepsi. Pepsi, refresh everything. Soriano, Fukudome, and Bradley across the outfield today. Fontenot and Terrio on the left side of the infield. Aaron Miles, recently back off the disabled list, will be at second base. Derek Lee over at first. Giovanni Soto doing the catching today for right-hander Randy Wells. Score him some runs. Randy Wells, probably the best pitcher in the National League nobody knows about because he hasn't recorded a victory yet through no fault of his own. Has pitched outstanding baseball.
Set the umpires. Mike Estabrook, Dan Bellino, Phil Cussing, Tom Hallion. We're underway as Brendan Harris fouls it back. Strike one. Harris keeping his job for the time being at short, even with Nick Punto back, because Harris has been hitting the ball lately. He's hitting 15 of 16. 62 degrees as we get started. The wind is out of the east, blowing in at 7. A pop-up on the right side of the infield, and Derek Lee will catch it in foul territory for the first out. For a guy, Bob, who's gone 6 starts without a win, 99 out of 100, maybe 999 out of 1,000 times, we would say there's something he wants to change. I don't think the Cubs want Randy Wells to change a thing.
No, I mean, He is what he is. He's not a power pitcher. His breaking stuff is average at best, but he knows how to pitch with the stuff that he has. Works the corners of the plate, expands the strike zone up and down, in and out. For the most part, gets ahead of opposing hitters and forces them to swing at his pitches.
He'll have to make some big pitches against Joe Mauer, who's won 2 batting titles in the American League. Justin Morneau on deck, former MVP. Mauer has put up some sick numbers. He didn't even play in April on the DL with some lower back issues. And that's out into right for a base hit. He's hitting for a lot more home run power this year than ever before. His career high in homers, 13 back in 06. He already has 12. Well, they've had some good ones. Rod Carew, Tony Oliva, and now Joe Mauer with multiple batting titles, but you rarely see a catcher lead the league in batting. Joe Mauer bought hundreds of tickets for this series. He's from the Twin Cities. And I saw a lot of Twins jerseys during batting practice, so there are a lot of Twin fans in the ballpark.
Quite an ovation when Mauer got that first hit of the game into right field. This is going to be interesting today. This is probably the biggest population of out-of-town fans we've had, even including the St. Louis Cardinals series.
Outside on Morneau. 1 ball, 1 strike. Wells facing the Twins and every batter in this lineup for the first time. Twins haven't been here since 2001. Cubs are 10-8 all time against the Twins going back to 97. Fly ball to left. Soriano circling and catching for the second out. Their lefties have good power the other way. You're going to see a lot of deep flies to left in this series.
And don't be surprised to see a lot of bunt for base hit attempts. Got a lot of team speed, a very athletic ball club. They like to run the bases. They like to play hit and run. They like to bunt for base hits. Of course, with Mauer and Morneau in the middle, they let those guys pretty much swing away and do the damage that they can. Ron Gardenhire, the manager of the Minnesota Twins.
8th year, signed through 2011. They've had a lot of continuity in the dugout. He replaced Tom Kelly, who was their manager the previous 15+ seasons. Jason Kubel swinging and missing. 0-2 the count.
You know, talking about Ron Gardenhire, you may remember on the last trip we talked about Bobby Cox, and I mentioned the continuity there in Atlanta, that players that came up through the Braves system knew that they had to fit a certain mold to make it in the big leagues with the Atlanta Braves. Same thing can be said for the Twins. High expectations from their manager at the major league level all the way down to rookie ball.
Well, good job by Soto, who almost lost his catcher's mask to go up and get that fastball that really got away from Wells.
Players call that a zoom ball. Oh, just lost the grip on it a little bit, almost threw it to the backstop. Good range by Giovanni Soto behind the plate.
You hear about a rising fastball. That's about the only way you'll see a rising fastball that literally rises. Randy's 26, 6'3", 230 pounds, from Belleville, Illinois, not too far from St. Louis. Swing and a miss. He strikes out Kubel, gives up the hit to Mauer, but no runs. The Cubs are coming up against Kevin Slowey. Let's check in on Lou Pinella's Pepsi lineup for today's game against the Twins, brought to you by Pepsi. Refresh everything. Soriano leading off. Fontenot, the highest he's hit in the lineup all year. Bradley, Lee, and Soto in the middle. Kosuke moving down to the 6th spot. Ryan Theriot 7th. Miles and Wells 8 and 9.
Take a look at the #1 defensive team in the American League. They've made only 23 errors as a unit. Young, Kadire, Kubel across the outfield. Creedy at third, Harris at short. Nick Punto recently off the disabled list with a right groin injury. He'll be at second base. Justin Morneau at first, and Joe Mauer behind the plate for right-hander Kevin Slowey.
And Soriano swings at the first pitch and bounces it foul. Well, 8 wins. ERA not bad. He's given up 95 hits, tied for the second most in the majors. A lot of home runs, but he throws strikes. He doesn't walk people.
Now 46% of the runs that have been scored against Kevin Slowey this year have been the result of home runs. He's allowed 35 runs total on the season. 16 of those have come via the home run. Very similar in style to Randy Wells, not overpowering with his stuff, relies on command and changing speeds. He'll work his fastball on both sides of the plate. Throws an off the body sinker to the left-handed hitters. Backdoor slider to the left-handed hitters on occasion. Little love for the cooler.
There's a little more room in the dugout without the Gatorade machine.
I heard a rumor that the old Gatorade machine is in Carlos's kitchen right now.
Really?
No.
You sold it.
Wouldn't last long there.
Yeah.
These eggs are cold. Take a wooden spoon and beat the Gatorade machine in the kitchen.
2 strikes on Mike Fontenot. And you heard Lou on the leadoff man just talk about shaking it up. Just move some parts around and see what happens. Cubs scoring just 1 run in each of the last 2 games in Houston.
And both those runs came on solo homers. Giovanni Soto hit a tape measure blast to left center. Derek Lee with his game-tying bolt in the 9th inning to right field.
A wind in the 1-2 and Fontenot pops third base side. Treaty with the catch. Yeah, the quick scouting report that I heard on Kevin Slowey, Brad Radke like, maybe not as firm. And Brad Radke threw a ton of strikes, rarely walked people.
Well, the numbers on the season would tell you that. We showed him earlier. Coming into today, 72 2/3 innings. He has surrendered 95 hits, 51 strikeouts, only 9 walks.
He led the majors last year. Fewest walks per 9 innings, 1.35. He was better than Cliff Lee, Greg Maddux, and Mike Mussina. The only guy in the Cubs order who has previous at-bats against Slowey is the guy at the plate, Milton Bradley. And he's gone 2 for 3 with a double. Bradley has hit .333 in his career against the Twins. The 1-1 pitch is outside. 2-1. Huge crowd. They're pretty quiet at the moment. Inside 3-1. The M&M boys.
Oh, sure. Jump on the bandwagon.
Kirby Puckett, Harmon Killebrew, and some great players in their history. That goes flying out of the hands of Bradley. 3-2. Got to give a nice plug to Cubs assistant general manager Randy Bush, a career-long Twin, excellent pinch hitter, couple of World Series rings for Randy. He was on their 40th season anniversary all-time team in 2000. .3-2 pitch hit foul. I think, Bob, Bradley, knowing how Slowey does throw strikes, you might see a little bit of a more aggressive approach in a 3-2 count from Bradley, knowing that Slowey's probably going to be around the plate. We've seen him take a lot of pitches late in the count throughout the season. Here comes another payoff delivery. Swinging away, breaking his bat, floater into center. And it drops down in front of Michael Kadire, who is not a natural center fielder. Only his 3rd career start out there, so playing pretty deep.
All 3 of the Twins outfielders are playing extremely deep for Milton Bradley, and on a broken bat you see the full swing. You can see the start by Kadire in center field. Got a real late jump on that ball, and it dropped safely for the first hit of the game for the Cubs.
Derek Lee with a 10-game hitting streak and a 20-game on-base streak. He tied the game yesterday in the 9th with a solo home run off former Cub LaTroy Hawkins. Three career homers against the Twins and just 16 at bats for Lee.
Derek, one of the few bright spots in the Cubs offense recently, really starting to pick it up, hit the ball with a lot more authority to all fields.
Nothing in 2. Is that how you work out?
Yeah. It'd take an awful long time to get where you're going if I was pulling that rickshaw.
I meant you riding.
Oh, well,
Is that how you work out?
Yeah.
In on the hands and fouled off. Only game in the majors today. Everything else is tonight. And the only non-interleague matchup is the Astros and the Diamondbacks. Everything else AL versus NL, including the Mets and the Yankees at new Yankee Stadium. I think there'll be some home runs hit in that series.
Ooh. It's kind of funny, the 2 ballparks in New York, the 2 new ballparks, Yankee Stadium has turned into a launching pad, and Citi Field on the other side of town, very pitcher friendly.
Deep fly for Lee. Kadire drifting and catching right on the edge of the grass in front of the track for the final out. A hit, no runs. We are scoreless early. Great day to be out and about. Temperature hits about 55. Everybody puts on shorts. That's the way it should be. Two quick ones on Joe Creedy.
Shorts with a parka.
In his return to U.S. Cellular Field earlier this season, Joe Creedy received a video tribute from the Sox, then a standing ovation from the crowd. Came up to bat for the first time. He responded by hitting a home run and then got booed.
That's the way it's supposed to work.
One of the few Twins who has played a lot of games in this ballpark. Not a high average, but 6 home runs. And just over 100 at bats against the Cubs. All those coming as a member of the White Sox, but signed as a free agent in the offseason. And a leadoff single to start the second. Today's Walgreens celebrity bat kids are from Palatine, Illinois. Kelly Batke and Clay Yaxolian. For more information on how you can be a Walgreens celebrity bat kid, go to WGNradio.com. Walgreens, the pharmacy of the Chicago Cubs. Michael Kadire, one of 2 Twins to hit for the cycle already this year. They've had 3 the last 2 years. Jason Kubel hit for the cycle on April 17th, and Kadire did it on May 22nd. Carlos Gomez last year on the south side of Chicago did it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Creedy not a threat to run at first on a straight steal attempt. The Twins as a team 10th in the American League in stolen bases. The pitch. Double play ball backing up Fontenot, but tough on the exchange as Miles just couldn't get it out of his glove, and they only get 1.
Double play's all about rhythm. Mike Fondo had to back up a step. His throw gets to Aaron Miles in good shape, but Miles just couldn't find the handle on that ball. That's one thing you'll probably see from all the Twins players today. It's once again an organization-wide policy. You run everything out hard, or you go back to AAA.
Delman Young with a fly out toward Milton Bradley.
Hey fans, Saturday, June 20th is Culver's Day at Wrigley Field. Game time is 12:05, but be sure to arrive early. The first 10,000 fans will receive a Cubs batting practice hat. Compliments of Culver's Restaurants. Get Culverized.
Red line passing through. Switch hitting second baseman Nick Punto activated off the disabled list. He was battling a right groin strain. Went on the DL on May 29th and activated after their game in Oakland yesterday. Outside corner from Wells. 1-1. Cubs have won 7 of the 9 between these two teams here at Wrigley Field. But again, it's their first trip here in 8 years. Been a lot of talk over the years about what sort of home field advantage it is for the Cubs in this unique park. The Cubs last year really took huge advantage of it. But I don't think there's any question that teams like the Twins haven't been here in a while. A lot of the players with the families and friends coming to the ballpark, they're excited to be here. I don't know if that translates at all into how they play on the field. Hopefully they go out late tonight on Rush Street.
Yeah, I think that's a plan. I think that's what they ought to do. Why should they be any different than every other team that comes in here to Wrigley to play?
I think the biggest adjustment, other than for the outfielders, with the wind and the sun and the ivy and the wells, is playing a day game on a Friday. I'm used to coming in and playing Friday night. He's got it covered. A Cubs cap and a Twins jersey, both green.
Kid is Switzerland out there today. Not going to commit either way.
Kadire runs on a 3-2 with 2 outs, and Punto pops it down the line, foul when pushing it out of play.
The wind has picked up considerably since the beginning of the ball game, kind of blowing in from right center field, occasionally straight in from center, so the ball had no chance of staying in play.
The wind really kicking up. Well, Bob, as we get into this this weekend, I don't know if Cub fans can do it, but they should root for the White Sox this weekend, and White Sox fans should root for the Cubs because the Southsiders are in Milwaukee.
Well, it doesn't happen often, but if you are a true Cubs fan, at least for the next 3 days, go Sox.
Another 3-2 and another foul. Punto's making Randy Wells work. We'll have the Sox and Cubs Tuesday night right here from Wrigley Field. Pregame time is 6:30. Ball 4. That's an excellent plate appearance by Nick Punto. And he keeps the inning alive for the pitcher, Slowey.
That's another thing this Twins lineup does extremely well. They're going to force opposing pitchers to throw strikes. They're willing to take their walks, with the exception of Delman Young. He struck out 47 times in 39 games this season, only walked 5. So everybody else in the lineup pretty patient, with the exception of Young.
Slowey 2 for 8 in his career. All those at bats coming last season. Pitch and lined and caught by Aaron Miles. Slowly making really good contact, but they leave 2. They've stranded 3 through the first 2 innings. We're still scoreless. Time to have a ball with our friends at the Illinois Lottery. That was fun. We were on the field before the game. Jeff Schmidt there in the middle from Bud Light. Our executive producer Bob Vorwald. Mike Lafrano.
I tried to make off with the check there, but I got caught.
Senior Vice President of Community Affairs. As a check was presented after the Len and Bob Bash, the 3rd annual. Over $41,000 raised for Cubs charities. And young Michael there, and they handed a nice check to the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Today's Have a Ball thanks to the Illinois Lottery. Michael Melito, young Cub fan on the field with us before the game. Here's a 1-0 pitch from Kevin Slowey, and Giovanni Soto pulls it foul. Look for more information on the 4th annual Len and Bob Bash, the House of Blues, coming up. We have a date. We're working on the details. January 14th, 2010. The 1-1 pitch is a strike, 1-2 on Soto, who's hitting 5th for the 4th time this year. He hit 2 of his 3 home runs this season on the just completed road trip. Slowey is 25 years old. 3 balls, 2 strikes. 6'3", 195. Second rounder in 2005. Out of Winthrop University. Born in Conroe, Texas. But went to high school in Pennsylvania. He lives in Pittsburgh. Foul tip, strike 3. In terms of strike throwers like Slowey, even if you haven't faced him, I mean, the scouting report's going to tell you he's around the plate, he's around the plate, he's around the plate. Does the reputation sometimes affect how hitters approach a guy like this?
I don't think there's any question about it. When you face a guy who has a reputation for throwing the ball over the plate, you tend to be a lot more aggressive. I mean, if he has that kind of command within the strike zone, you assume he can also throw the ball where he wants out of the strike zone. And if you fall behind in the count, That's when he'll try to lead you out of the zone with sliders away, change-ups in the dirt. He likes to go up the ladder with his four-seam fastball. So I think the general consensus is attack him early.
And just based on his numbers this season, it seems like when he's struggled with his command, he's not walking people, the ball is leaving the park. It's that command within the zone. 1-2.
Well, and hopefully this is the kind of pitcher that will get the Cubs offense going again. Lou was especially upset with pitch selection in the last couple games of that road trip in Houston. A lot of opportunities with runners in scoring position, and Cubs hitters chased a lot of pitchers' pitches.
Slowly really wanted it, didn't get the call from the home plate umpire Mike Estabrook.
That's that off the body two-seamer. Just didn't quite get back to the corner, but that's a pitch he likes to use on left-handed hitters.
Back-to-back strikeouts for Slowey. And here comes Terrio.
Fading action on that changeup gets Kosuke way out in front. That pitch is set up by that fastball that he threw inside on the pitch before. As a hitter, at least mentally, you tell yourself, I've got to be quick enough to get to that inside fastball, and then he comes right back with an off-speed pitch away.
Terrio takes a strike. Were you concerned at all about Kosuke? He hit 172 on the trip. We've seen him strike out here lately, maybe at a higher rate than earlier in the season.
Yeah, and you know, we're seeing some more of that spinning action out of the batter's box, which is natural when you swing and miss. It doesn't really matter what you do after you miss the baseball, but I think he's just a little off balance in that box. Kind of caught in between, a little behind the fastball and a little in front of the off-speed pitches.
Up and in on Terrio. 1-2. Swing and a miss. Slowey strikes out the side in the second. Still no runs for either team as we head to the third from Wrigley Field. Welcome back to the ballpark. Called strike on Brendan Harris. Top of the order for the Twins in the third inning. That's a roller back up the middle and a base hit. Time now to look at our high-def shot of the game, sponsored by Comcast. Great to see the Ho-Ho-Coms here in attendance today. A little cool for them today, coming in from Arizona, but it definitely works. You know, this kind of feels, Bob, like an early March day in Mesa, Arizona. Cubs baseball in high definition, sponsored by Comcast. Robert Brinton in his second year as head hose, 19th year of service. Great to have you back at Wrigley Field, sir.
Good to be back here.
Weather did cooperate today.
It did. Yesterday with the rain, we were a little worried, but we've got some Arizona sunshine today, and yes, reminiscent of spring training.
You in all weekend?
We are. We're today, tomorrow watching the game as well. So we have a group of about 35 of the Ho-Ho-Cams that came on this trip. It's an annual trip. We come in a day early, meet with the Cubs management, talk about spring training, what went right, what we want to do next year.
Well, I'll tell you what went right was the attendance. Once again.
We keep setting those records with 203,000. So, and that's the nationwide the best record. So it's not just Cactus League, it's Grapefruit League as well.
And the Cactus League is growing every year.
It's amazing to watch. We got down to as little as 7 teams, and now at 14 next year with the Reds joining, it'll be 15. So we've now reached equilibrium with Florida. And I don't know how that works. They tell us on scheduling that's a little tough, but I guess that means more split squads.
2 balls and a strike on Joe Mauer. Runner at first, nobody out. We're in the 3rd inning. Got a Cactus League, almost 1.6 million.
Yeah, an attendance record for the Cactus League as well this year.
Deep drive by Joe Mauer. There's that opposite field power we were talking about. And that is his 13th home run. He has now tied his career high in home runs in a single season, and he's only been playing this year for a little over a month. Man, is he high.
Wow.
And he's already 2 for 2 today, and big cheers from near the Twins dugout. He bought a ton of tickets.
It's not easy to do. That was a 2-seamer that started in the middle of the plate, was working its way toward the outside corner, and Mauer just went with it with authority. Through the wind into the bleachers out there in left center field. He comes as advertised.
Morneau fouls off. 2-0 Twins.
Well, Robert, I think I speak for Cubs players and the people from the organization and Cubs fans everywhere. You guys are great hosts in spring training. We really enjoy our time down there in Mesa.
Well, thanks. We love doing it, going clear back to when Dwight Patterson and the Ho-Ho-Cams were formed and got the Cubs to come in 1952. So it's a great tradition.
It has been a wonderful relationship, no question about it. A lot of Midwesterners spend their winters in Mesa, and Cub fans making it an annual ritual to head down to Mesa for spring training.
We do. We have the largest season ticket holder base for the Cactus League, so the fans do return year after year after year, and we love that.
And the ballpark, just a great setting for spring training baseball. Seating capacity of well over 12,000. Let's check out the ceremonial first pitch.
Oh, we don't need to show that.
Well, now, Bob, you've been down there an extended spring in Arizona.
He called for a wild pitch, so I tried to help him. There's only one bounce. That's not bad for not picking up a ball.
Well, as Bob said, you just great ambassadors. You such great hospitality, and you welcome us in with open arms every spring. And every time we talk with you during the season, we say before you know it, we'll be back next year, and it does fly by.
It's amazing how fast it comes around each year, and you think, well, we're in the off season for spring training, but it's coming real quick.
Another foul pop by Morneau. This one will reach the seats down the left field line.
Now, Robert, the spring training this past season was a little longer than in the past. Did that present any special challenges for you guys and what you normally do?
Well, with 19 games, it was a challenge. There's no doubt. A few more than the normal 15, 16 games. But, you know, the World Classic is what started it a little early. And that was a great event as well. The Cubs playing Japan. That whole scenario is a very positive thing. So it was extra games, but then that led to the extra attendance as well. And so even with a down economy, to set a record, and the fan spending when they got to the stadium was great.
Kosuke will make the catch. For more information, you can go to mesahohokam.com. That's mesahohokam.com. And the ticket number is 800-905-3315. And Robert, I think I speak for everyone in the booth right now. We all want your job down the road. That'd be a pretty nice gig.
It's a wonderful thing to do. It's a great thing to do, just as you do here, to help people have fun at the ballpark. Is pretty nice gig.
As Kubel lines out, Wells made the catch. And your dad, one of the original hosts back in 1952.
Right. He was one of those with Dwight Patterson that helped bring the Cubs to Mesa. and participated in a lot of the early events. When the Cubs first came, they needed to replace the bleachers, and no one wanted to get involved. They were afraid of the cost. So each of the Hohokams signed notes to the bank that if they didn't make money, they would pay up. And they didn't tell their wives about that. And we still have my dad's original note.
Oh, that's great. Robert, thanks so much for the time, and we'll see you in spring training.
Thanks.
Next year.
Look forward to seeing you guys.
Front runners. It's easy to root for Joe Mauer, hitting over 400. It's 2-0 Twins. Thanks to Robert Brinton from the Hohokams for stopping by. Miles, Wells, and Soriano. So the Cubs are going to have to get at least 3 today. We know that. And runs have been hard to come by lately. Miles pops it up. It'll be caught in foul territory by Joe Creedy off of third. Cub fans, don't forget to visit the WGN Sports Game Zone at WGNTV.com. Brought to you by The Great Escape for up-to-the-minute stats and info designed to give you everything you need to know during the game. The WGN Sports Game Zone is available for every Cubs game and is brought to you by The Great Escape, pools, patio sets, play sets, hot tubs, and more. Wells hits it hard, but Brendan Harris scoops it up. 2 outs. Well, we see Albert Pujols 17, 18, 19 times a year, and he's done a lot of damage against the Cubs. I would have to say, in terms of the players we see on an everyday basis, or a lot, probably the best player. But everything I read about Joe Mauer, a lot of people are saying he might be the best player in the game today, and he's 2 for 2 with a single and a 2-run homer this afternoon, and he won a Gold Glove last year.
Plays the toughest defensive position on the field, handles the pitching staff. Pretty tough to argue that. About the only thing he does not do is steal bases.
And before this year, didn't hit a ton of home runs. The 1-0 pitch, swing and a miss by Soriano. Alfonso seems to be a little befuddled regarding his slump. It's gone on now for a while. He's hitting around $150 over his last 19 games. The 2-1 pitch off the plate inside. Swansea, not the prototypical leadoff hitter, but only 2 homers his last 20 games. He needs to hit those home runs for the Cubs offense to go.
Well, unfortunately, he's not getting a lot of pitches that he can hit for home runs. I mean, it's no secret around baseball the holes in Alfonso Soriano's swing. We're seeing Kevin Slowey in this at bat. Sliders low and away, fastballs up and in off the plate, and then right back away once again with either a hard slider or a changeup off the corner away. Now, granted, pitchers are going to make mistakes, and unfortunately Fonzie hasn't been taking advantage of those mistakes. There was one right there, middle of the plate fastball.
Slowey settling in. He has punched out 4, and he leads 2-0. Twins 2, Cubs 0. Joe Mauer with a home run in the 3rd inning. A lot of fans across the street on Waveland and Sheffield enjoying this game today. 1 strike on Michael Kadire. Let go of the bat on his first swing, and he pops it up on a second hack, and Derek Lee will not have a play. Randy Wells has been a tough cookie. Nothing seems to bother him. He's kind of had a that's the way it goes attitude in regards to all the no decisions and 2 losses in his first 6 starts in spite of an ERA that is below 2.
That's the right attitude to have as a starting pitcher. We talk about it all the time. There's only so much you can control as a starting pitcher, and he has certainly taken care of his business out there on the mound. I guess the only thing he could do better is maybe hit more, but as far as pitching, he has done everything that the Cubs have asked of him and deserves to have at least a few wins under his belt by this point.
A full count to Kadire. Young and Punto to follow. Another foul. The Twins logo has been misplaced. But isn't that Harmon Killebrew? The silhouette. Leadoff walk. Leadoff man's been on 3 times now for the Twins.
The 2009 Chicago Cubs baseball season on WGN, your official summer baseball station, is brought to you by Bud Light. The difference is drinkability.
Downtown Chicago. Hancock Building. Runner at first, no outs. Delman Young at the plate. Both teams are pretty lucky to be in the divisions they're in. The National League Central, the Brewers at the top, having lost 4 in a row. They're struggling. Cardinals won their last 2 in Florida. They stabilized a little bit, but they've dropped 6 of their last 10. Kosuke, long run, the slide, can't get it. Kadire will get to second. Should be a hit for Young. They have 2 on with no outs.
Well, it's been well documented throughout the early part of this season that Kosuke plays as deep a center field as anybody in the National League. Long way to go to get to that ball. Milton Bradley doesn't even come close. And that'll drop for a base hit in shallow right center field. Twins have a couple of men on for the bottom of the order.
Punto with a long at bat his first time and eventually took a walk. He fouled it off his foot. So the National League Central, everybody within 6 games of 500 on either side. And the Cubs only 2.5 back and 1 behind in the lost column. In the American League Central, as you get a look at the NL Central, in the other league, the Twins, White Sox, Indians, Royals are all under 500. The only team over is Detroit, but they're only 6 over. So the Twins are very much in this thing, even though they're 2 games under 500.
Early in the season, the Royals were the darling of baseball as they led that division in the early going, but they've reached their level here at this point. Very similar sentiments for both central divisions. Just stay close until you can run off a hot streak of 10 out of 12 or 12 out of 15 and maybe put some ground between yourself and the rest of the teams in your division. But up to this point, everybody pretty bunched up.
And I wouldn't say that our analysis would be an indictment of either division top to bottom. In fact, they're both very competitive. Just because the Dodgers are in the West, I wouldn't say that the National League West is the best division in baseball, even though the team with the best record is in that division. Full count. Wells was ahead of Punto. Now it's 3-2. Randy has the sign from Soto, and the pitch lined into center. Scott Olger, the third base coach, is going to hold up Kadire, and they have 3 on with nobody out.
You know, Len, sometimes I have to scratch my head at what the Cubs do on the field. Base hit into center field with a runner at second base, and there was nobody in cutoff position in the middle of the diamond. Randy Wells went to back home up home plate the way he's supposed to. One of the corner infielders, and in this particular situation, probably Derek Lee, somebody's got to be there to cut the ball off. You can see Kosuke had to hold the ball, ran it in a few steps, and then ultimately bounced to one hopper to Giovanni Soto. I mean, it doesn't affect the play in any way, shape, or form, but it's one of those things. Why is somebody not there to cut that ball off?
It's a good question. Larry Rothschild back into the dugout, and the pitcher Slowey is at the plate. Now, he lined out to second in his first at bat. The Cubs will give up a run if they can turn a double play. Well, the other thing about those little things is this is the stretch during which those things have to be done correctly. The Cubs had 6 games that were decided by 1 run on the last trip, and all 4 of their losses were by just 1 run. Almost hit them 2-0.
I mean, just the fact that nothing happened, it didn't affect the play, they didn't score a run, there was really no consequence to the play. That doesn't excuse the lack of fundamental baseball. Two and 1. Sean Marshall is going to get loose. There's that double play ball. Terrio, Miles, and Lee. But the Twins get their 3rd run of the game. No RBI for Slowey. 2 outs. Runner at 3rd, 3-0. Kind of a slowly hit ball toward Ryan Terrio at short. I thought initially he might take it himself at the bag at second, but the quick shovel onto Aaron Miles. And Slowey busting it down that line. Cubs just do get him by a step at first base. Young is at 3rd. Brendan Harris 1 for 2 with a run, so he now has a hit in 16 of his last 17 games. Harris was a 5th-round pick of the Cubs out of William and Mary in 2001 and made his major league debut with the Cubs. A roller through the hole on the left side to make it 4-0. Other than the Mauer home run, just a lot of very short, quick swings, making solid contact with the barrel of the bat. A lot of the base hits have gone right back up the middle of the field. That hard ground ball just did sneak through the left side. What did Ozzie call the Minnesota offense a few years ago? Sort of like a bunch of piranha. Yeah, they don't really overwhelm you, but they just continue to make contact, move runners around the bases, spraying base hits all over the field. So that'll be it for Randy Wells.
Rare times we've seen him struggle. Most runs he has allowed in the majors. Left-hander Sean Marshall coming on. We'll be back. On Sunday, August 9th, minor league excitement will return to Wrigley Field. The second annual Road to Wrigley, presented by National City, now part of PNC. Get ready for a day of fun featuring Berserk and the Wacky Superstars. Kids 14 and under will get a chance to run the bases after the game. Don't miss the action as the Iowa Cubs take on the Las Vegas 51s at Wrigley Field. Order your tickets today at Cubs.com. Don't know if they're Twins. Well, we'll go with it. I think the guy on the left might be a little older. But as much as anything, I think Lou, seeing Mauer, Morneau, and Kubel all due here before this thing could possibly really blow up on Randy Wells. He brings in the lefty Sean Marshall against Mauer, 1 strike. It's sliding block by Soto.
Well, Mauer does hit about 160 points lower against left-handed pitching, but he still hits at a 316 clip. He's hitting 476 against righties coming into play today. But you're absolutely right. Ron Gardenhire has those 3 left-handed hitters lined up in the 2, 3, 4 spots in the lineup, so seems to be the appropriate time to make the change.
1-1 pitch is inside. 2-1. Kind of an interesting connection. Joe Mauer's uncle, Andy Holt, was Jim Hendry's first catcher at Creighton when Jim was a college baseball coach there. So Jim has heard about Joe Mauer for many years, how good he was going to be. And his uncle was right. They're going to retire him for the first time today as Miles throws on to first. The Twins add to their lead. They get 2 more runs and now lead 4-0.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago Cubs and may not be reproduced nor retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Chicago Cubs.
The Bud Light Concert Series is back. Listen to that. Aerosmith will be playing the Alpine Valley Music Theater tomorrow night, brought to you by Bud Light. Tickets are available exclusively at livenation.com. Aerosmith tomorrow night, brought to you by Bud Light. Bud Light, the difference is drinkability. You gotta love that.
Yep, good stuff. 1 strike on Mike Fontenot, bottom 4. Cubs have some work to do. And they're going to have to swing their way back into this game because Slowey hasn't walked anybody and rarely does. After Fontenot, it's Milton Bradley and Derek Lee. Mike hitting second, highest he's hit in the lineup all year, coming off a .355 road trip. The pitch. A foul pop out of play.
Well, apparently the Twins saw Mike Fontenot's home run to the opposite field in Houston on that last road trip because they're really swung around toward left field, giving him a lot of room in the gap in right center as well as right down the line in right field.
Punched foul. One quick follow-up note on the just completed first-year draft. Glenn Cook Former Miami Hurricane linebacker drafted by the Cubs in the 46th round. And Slowey picks up his 5th strikeout.
Alfano with a swing and a miss on a backdoor breaker, rather. And you see him shaking his hand as he walks back to the dugout there. That's something he had some issues with on that last road trip.
The Cubs taking a chance on a good athlete, Glenn Cook. The 1,400th overall pick in the draft. Hasn't played baseball competitively in almost a decade. And the quote he told the South Florida Sun Sentinel, "I'm as shocked as you are regarding being drafted, but you never know." Didn't Ron Schuler once draft his daughter?
Yeah, but she was a ball player.
Yeah,
I saw her play. She could play the game a little bit. Well, there have been some strange occurrences in that draft over the years, but I guess taking the best athlete available, didn't specify which sport.
It was Scott Siebel, the name was, with like an 88th round pick, eventually made the majors. Mike Piazza, 62nd round, something like that, putting together a Hall of Fame career. 1-2, and Bradley taps it. Slowey got off the mound quickly. Wow, Slowey's not a good last name for him. Let's check out who's moving forward with Toyota. Derek Lee moving forward. 0 for 1 today, but trying to extend a hitting streak. And he comes into interleague play hitting over 300 overall and leading the Cubs all time against the American League at 368. That's today's Toyota moving forward, thanks to Toyota. One and nothing on Lee. The only hit for the Cubs was a Milton Bradley 2-out single in the first inning. That's been it. It's the only base runner they've had against Slowey. So Randy Wells will go another major league start, 7 and counting, without a victory. And the way the baseball cycle works, I mean, you just couldn't expect the starting pitchers to continue to have an ERA of under 1. Cubs getting 6, 7, 8 inning outings, 1, 2 runs max. There'll be even more pressure now on an offense that has been very inconsistent lately to come through with some big innings.
And as you said earlier, today at least, they're going to have to hit their way back into this ball game. They're not going to get a lot of free passes from Kevin Slowey. I mentioned earlier in the ball game the best defense in the American League, so they're probably not going to kick the ball around very often to give you base runners. You're going to have to hit your way back into this game. Twins have made only 23 errors on the season coming into play today. Only the Philadelphia Phillies had made fewer errors in all of Major League Baseball with 19.
Foul tip, strike 3. That's 6 for Slowey against no walks. Twins 4, Cubs nothing. Now time for the 5th inning, brought to you by Subway. Hey, Chicagoland viewers, how would you like to win 5 $5 footlongs? Is Justin Morneau with a blooper foul. You could win $5 footlongs from Subway. Just be the 500th texter to text Subway to 97999. Go to WGNTV.com for complete info and rules. I don't know if Justin Morneau has a horse in the race tonight. I think he's a big Vancouver Canucks fan, but from British Columbia, Canada, I'm sure he'll be checking out the Stanley Cup Game 7. Ryan Dempster from British Columbia as well. Justin Morneau, the American League most valuable player in 2006. Second last year to Dustin Pedroia of the Red Sox.
That was probably a very unfamiliar feeling for Justin Morneau leading off an inning. I mean, when you hit behind Joe Mauer, you're going to be coming to the plate a lot of times with a runner on base ahead of you.
Morneau and Kubel combined 0 for 7, but they still lead 4-0. Twins have not been good on the road. They're 9-20 on the road, but in their final season at the Metrodome, they're 21-12. They'll open Target Field next year. I think that's one of the great home field advantages, maybe in all of pro sports. Well, very few teams even have artificial turf anymore. The old non-retractable roof dome as Marshall walks Kubel. While we have a moment, let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN.
Out of Side Retro Night, Sunday night, starting at 5 East, 2 West on WGN America.
Joe Creedy takes a strike on the inside corner. Their new park will not have a roof of any kind.
Well, that's a good idea.
Well, they've been trying to get funding for it forever, and it's a reality. And there will be an adjustment period for the Twins in their new ballpark.
Hey, you wonder how much of a home field advantage they'll have in the new ballpark. You take away the artificial surface. You take away that funky roof that they have at the Metrodome up there that's so tough on visiting teams to pick up fly balls.
Creedy strikes out, 2 away. I was reading the new park will have some roof deck seats reminiscent of the rooftops across the street from Wrigley Field, although the seats will be actually inside the ballpark. You didn't happen to ever see any games at the old Met, did you?
No,
Metropolitan Stadium.
Can't say I did. I'll tell you one thing, going into the Metrodome as a visiting team was a little intimidating, because all you heard going into that series was, oh, you cannot take your eye off a fly ball. Do not take your eyes off a fly ball, because if you look away, you'll never find the ball again when you look back up. So before you even set foot on the field, you had it in the back of your head that this is going to be a tough series. This is really going to be a tough series defensively. And they're right. I mean, it was absolutely true. You had to keep your eye on that ball and track it. And, you know, rather than look for your fellow outfielders or infielders, you had to use your voice to communicate with your teammates, because you just should not take your eye off the ball once it went up in the air.
Runner at first, 2 outs. The 0-2 pitch to Kadire is fouled back to the screen. A look at the new ballpark. An artist's rendition, or a rendering of the new stadium, and yeah, it looks like it's going to be great. It's downtown near the Target Center, which houses the Timberwolves of the NBA. Sean Marshall, 2 strikeouts in the 5th. 4-0 Twins. Another slow day at the plate for the Cubs offense. They have been stymied by Kevin Slowey. Soto, Fukudome, and Terrio due up here in the 5th. Minnesota with a 4-0 lead. Cubs are being out hit 7-1. Anthony Swarzak, a righty, and Rich Harden coming off the DL. That's the matchup tomorrow. And then right-hander Scott Baker, lefty Ted Lilly on Sunday. And we'll have game 3 of this series at 1 o'clock with the leadoff man. First pitch 1:20 on Sunday. Right here on WGN Sports. Ted Lilly will be shooting for his 8th win of the year. Another strikeout for Slowey. That's 7 the last 3 innings. All right, Bob, got some numbers for you. On the left, 287 wins, 3,701 strikeouts. On the right, 5 Gold Gloves, 9-time All-Star, 342 home runs. They both should be in the Hall of Fame.
No question. No doubt about either one of those gentlemen.
Number 10, hanging on the foul pole in left. And Bert Blyleven in the visiting television booth, working with Dick Bramer. They've been together for a long time. Bert likes to have fun, to say the least. Great guy.
Yes, indeed.
22 years in the major leagues, starting in 1970 with the Twins. Back with the Twins in the 80s. They won the World Series in 87.
Threw a no-hitter in his career. Also had 15 games where he won 1-0 with a complete game.
Wow.
And also struck me out and made me look as bad as any pitcher has ever made me look in my career. In a spring training game back in 1982 when he was pitching with the Cleveland Indians. Dwayne Kuiper was one of my teammates, and he had played with the Indians and knew Bert Blyleven very well from his days in the American League. And before I took my at bat, he said, "Hey, listen, he's not going to throw you that curveball." That was his signature pitch, a big 12-6 curveball. He never throws his curveball in spring training. So I went to the plate, saw fastball, saw slider, saw changeup. The count went to 2-2, and he threw me a curveball. And I mean, I laid flat on my back in the right-handed batter's box, and it broke right over the middle of the plate. As bad and at bat as you could possibly have.
And what did Mr. Kuiper do?
He was laughing when I got back to the bench. Yeah.
The Cubs not laughing right now as Kevin Slowey is mowing him down left and right. Two down in the inning. I got to tell you a quick story. Bert leaned over. There's Bert, Dick Bramer on the right. He leaned over between innings after about the second inning. He said, "Lenny, do they have the pitch count up anywhere here?" And I said, "Yeah, it's down the line. You know, they show it occasionally on the auxiliary board." He goes, "I was kind of hoping they didn't have it." He's old school.
Oh, yeah. He was a guy that was used to throwing 150, 160 pitches a game, whatever it took.
And they occasionally flash it in that area.
Yeah, what you didn't see from that shot is he's wearing wooden shoes. He's from Holland. Born in Zeist, Holland.
One to Terrio. Wind in the pitch, fouled back, and Slowey is ahead yet again.
You know, one thing to keep an eye on, if you haven't already, but as this game progresses, if Slowey stays in, look at the difference between the swings that the Cubs hitters are taking against Slowey and the swings that the Twins hitters took against Randy Wells and against Sean Marshall. It looks like the Cubs hitters are really trying hard to generate some power, where the Twins are just trying to make contact. And as we've said, you're going to have to hit your way out of this deficit. Solo home run's not going to do you much good.
Sloy has already tied his season high in strikeouts of 8. His career best is 12, which he set last year in August versus the Oakland A's, August the 19th.
I mean, the strikeouts are one thing. Those are going to happen on a given day when a major league pitcher has his good stuff and he's locating the ball well. He's going to get his share of strikeouts. The thing that bugs you a little bit is we have one hit, and it was a broken bat single by Milton Bradley back in the first inning against a pitcher that had given up 95 hits in just over 72 innings.
Floated down the right field line. Foul.
Looking through his previous starts, the fewest hits that Kevin Slowy has given up this year is 6, and that came in a 6-inning outing.
Ten allowed in his last start in Seattle. That was a loss. Called strike 3 on a breaking ball. For the second time today, he has struck out the side. 9 Ks on the afternoon for Slowy. Get a similar view there as Jerry White, the first base coach, former Cub. Bottom of the order for Minnesota. They knocked out Randy Wells after just 3 2/3. One strike on Delman Young.
Don't throw him another one. I mentioned earlier, only 5 walks on the season. This guy wants to either hit his way on base or make a quick out. He's going to swing that bat.
The first overall pick in the 2003 draft by Tampa Bay. Younger brother of Dimitri Young, who was the 4th player selected in '91, and a base hit to left on an 0-2 pitch.
Jeez. I don't know. I mean, that doesn't even take videotape or advanced scouting. You look at the stat sheet. The guy's got 5 walks all year. You could have bounced 100 curveballs up there. He'd have swung at 90 of them. And I'm sure that's probably what Sean Marshall was trying to do.
This is Soriano to retire Punto.
But unfortunately, this game is not about intent. It's about execution. Everybody has good intentions with every pitch they throw, with every swing they take in that batter's box, but the bottom line is you got to execute.
Slowy has lined out and grounded into a double play. On the 6-4-3, a run did score in the 4th inning. Trying to lay down his first career sack bunt, and he does. Soto to Miles to get him. Two outs for Brendan Harris.
And it goes without saying, this is a guy you really want to bear down on. Unlike Delman Young, where you don't want to throw him a strike, you have to force this guy to put the ball in play. You want him to make an out so you do not have to face Joe Mauer with runners on base.
Harris was dealt away at the trade deadline in 2004 in a 4-team deal involving 8 players, including Nomar Garcia Parra, coming from the Red Sox to the Cubs. I guess he went from the Cubs to the Red Sox to the Expos. The trade happened 1 minute prior to the deadline. Terrio goes out. Kosuke coming in. Terrio calling for it. 2 hands on it, and the inning is over. They strand 1. They lead by 4.
Chicago Cubs baseball is brought to you by Pepsi. Refresh everything. Visit refresheverything.com.
Time to check out today's Honda Accord game summary. Twins lead at 4-0. Joe Mauer with his 13th home run of the season, his first here at Wrigley Field, and it's all been about Kevin Slowey. The Cubs only able to scratch out 1 broken bad base hit to center field off the bat of Milton Bradley back in the first inning. Slowey has been in total command since then. Visit your Honda dealer and test drive a 2009 Honda Accord.
Slowey with 79 pitches through 5. Pitch count up just a little bit because of all those strikeouts. 9 of them, including 4 in a row going into the bottom of the 6th. Aaron Miles, then a pinch hitter Bobby Scales, followed by Alfonso Soriano. Well, we can talk until we're blue in the face about how to get out of this thing. I mean, as a manager, Lou has shuffled the lineup a little bit. He had Micah Hoffpower playing right for Bradley yesterday. Bradley back in there today. There's only so much you can do with a 25-man roster, a 12-man pitching staff. So ground ball up the middle. Harris will spin, throw, and it's late. And the Cubs have their first hit since the first inning. That was 13 in a row retired by Slowey in between base hits.
From our Southwest Skycam, a little tapper back over the mound. Chases Harris all the way up the middle of the field. By the time he spins and throws, Aaron Miles able to leg it out for an infield hit. Good start.
Cubs have tried to do extra work. Lou has had Gerald Perry lock the batting cage to do less work. Lou has talked about watching less video and sitting on the bench and simply watching the game a little bit more. Scales, a pinch hitter, pulling one into right. Miles will end up at third base. Finally, the Cubs bats coming to life.
Bobby Scales with a big base hit in the ball game today. Made a great defensive play in the ball game yesterday. Went way up the middle of the field. The jump throw in time to get Miguel Tejada at first base.
He's done a really nice job as a pinch hitter. He's now 4 for 7 as a pinch hitter.
With a couple of home runs as well.
A triple and now a single.
Keep the line moving.
First and third, nobody out. For the first time in the ball game, the Cubs have a runner in scoring position as Soriano was about as out in front as you can be on a pitch. 2 strikes to Soriano. Fontenot next. Jason Waddell will get all those lefties in the 7th. After Marshall went 2 1/3, 1 hit, no runs. Swing and a miss. 10 punch outs for Slowey. 1 out in the inning.
And for Kevin Slowey, that was a textbook up the ladder at bat there. Fastball down and in, was fouled off, scooted one up to the belt, and then eventually finishes off Soriano with a letter high fastball up and out over the plate. It's called climbing the ladder.
Fontenot swings and misses. Well, good pitchers in these spots will prey upon an offense's aggressiveness, and there's no question Kevin Slowey has done that today. And I guess going back to my earlier question about the reputation of a strike thrower like Slowey possibly affecting the approach, I'm not saying just don't swing at anything, but what's happened so far hasn't really worked that well. We've seen a lot of swings and misses. Maybe this is the day Kevin Slowey stopped throwing strikes. I mean, there have been a lot of deep counts. We've seen some 3-2s, but Slowey has generally made the big pitch. And as you said, he has pretty good command in the strike zone and maybe even outside the strike zone. Here's the lefty Waddell for the 7th. So I guess my point is maybe you kind of go the other way a little bit and take a borderline pitch and see if maybe the home plate umpire won't give it to him. He only has 1 strikeout of the looking variety. All the rest have been swings and misses. There's a good take right there. 2-2.
Well, and we talked on that last road trip. I felt that Giovanni Soto and Coy Hill occasionally with the runner at second were not being tricky enough with their signs to the Cubs pitchers. Watch Joe Mauer. They've got runners at first and third. There's not even a runner at second base. He goes through a series of touches, then he goes through a series of signs, and nobody can even see those other than his own pitcher and his middle infielders.
3-2.
I mean, sometimes you can make the signs so tough that your own guys can't get them. But by the same token, this is your profession. This is what you do for a living. There's really no excuse for not being able to decipher signs that the opposing team can't pick up. I can't say I've ever seen a catcher give a series of signs with no runner at second base, but Joe Mauer is doing it here for Kevin Slowey. Series of touches once again, series of signs.
This is a huge pitch. 3-2. If Fontenot gets on, the tying run will come up. Here it is. And he took it. So there you go. He walked somebody to load the bases.
Good call. Now make it hurt. And you better do it quickly. I have a feeling that Ron Gardenhire is going to send his pitching coach out there to stall for some time as they get some activity down in that bullpen. So make it happen quickly. And don't get me wrong. I'm not picking on Coy Hill and Giovanni Soto. I've been behind the plate in the major leagues. I've caught some pitchers that, I mean, anything other than 1-2 and a wiggle and they were lost. If you tried to hang down 2 or 3 different signs, you were going to lose them. You had to use something very simple for some pitchers. But in this day and age, you know, the guys have to be smart enough to understand that it's to their benefit to not allow the other team to get a good look at your signs and get an opportunity to relay it to the hitter and give him a good swing at a good pitch.
Just as you mentioned, the Twins buying a little time. Going to see probably some action here quickly in the Twins pen. The tying run at the plate. Milton Bradley, swing and a miss. Mike Redmond, the backup catcher, is hustling out there. Maybe the phone wasn't working. We ran into that in Houston. 0-1, that missed. 1 ball, 1 strike. Two singles and a walk in the inning as the Cubs try to get back in it. Deep to right for Bradley, and it's going to be off the wall. Cubs will get a couple. It's 4-2 on a 2-run double by Bradley. They have finally gotten to Kevin Slowey.
Well, you talked about the elevated pitch count because of all the strikeouts for Slowey in this ball game, and maybe starting to show some signs of running out of gas a little bit here. Left a fastball in the middle of the plate for Milton Bradley, and he absolutely crushed it to right field off the vines out there. But sneaking back into this ball game.
And now a single could tie it up, second and third for Derek Lee. Here's the pitch. Ground ball to third. Creedy's going to tag Bradley. It's 4-3. So Lee's at first as Fontenot scores. So dissect this one for us.
I wish I could give you a good explanation for this. Fontenot off on contact. Twins were going to concede right there. They were going to concede that run and take the out at first base, but for some unknown reason, Milton Bradley runs right into the out at third base. You'd much rather have that runner at second with 1 out than first base with 1 out.
So the fielder's choice for Derek Lee. He'll get an RBI. And it's 1-0 on Soto. Punto shading his eyes, and he fights it off, makes a catch. Big inning for the Cubs. They're down only a run. See if the bullpen can keep them in it as Waddell's coming in. Time for today's Bud Light Fan Cam. We feature today's 7th inning stretch guest conductor, Kenny Chesney.
He liked sleeping out on top of the car. He drank beer out of a mason jar, and he'd climb up on everyone in bed. A white frame house in a college town. A bunch of people always hanging around. No real problems we needed to drown, but we tried our best anyway. We went to Clash just to pass the time. Back in '89, we had a keg in the closet, pizza on the floor, left over from the night before. Where we were going, we didn't really care. We had all we ever wanted.
Keg in the closet. Today's Bud Light Fan Cam with just the right taste. It never fills you up. The difference is drinkability. Here's rookie lefty Jason Waddell. Well, the way the lineup is turned around, it has worked out ideally for the Cubs. The two lefties, Sean Marshall and Jason Waddell, have come in to face all these left-handed hitters. Randy Wells got taken out with 2 outs in the 4th. Marshall got out of it. And now it's Waddell in the 7th. A fly ball the other way. Soriano comes over, and he ends up leaving his feet after making the catch.
Teachable moments. They happen all the time. Milton Bradley with what I consider to be a base running gaff out there. Mike Fontenot was breaking on contact from third base. Milton Bradley followed him from second to third and ran right into the tag of Joe Creedy. I'm just speculating, but I assume that Mike Quade gave the sign to the base runners that Mike Fontenot is going to go on contact. Now, all that means is Mike Fontenot is going on contact. As the runner at second base, the trail runner, you're not required to go on contact if that ball is hit to the left side and you're going to run into a tag.
Big wave by Morneau. 0-2. Jason Waddell had spent his entire pro career in the Giants organization, 01 through 08. First year with the Cubs. And he's now in the big leagues. Pulled into right. That's a base hit.
Well, Len, the Vanaken family is represented here at Wrigley Field today. Pete's son Dan is here with a group from Streator, Illinois, cheering on the Cubs.
Sean Henn up for the Twins. Kubel fouls it back and out of the ballpark. Two righties are up. David Patton on the left and Aaron Heilman on the right. The batter lights and the out lights have gone out momentarily in the scoreboard. I'm sure they're working on it feverishly. 2-1 to Kubel. High fly to right. Bradley has no idea where it is. Fortunately, he kind of sold it that he knew where it was at first. I think he waited because he didn't want the runner Morneau to possibly get to third, so he only advanced one base, but he had no idea where the ball was. I don't know, Bob, if Kosuke could have gotten all the way over to help him. It was high in the air, but he lost it.
Well, even as a center fielder, he probably got fooled a little bit. He saw Milton Camp there shading his eyes. It wasn't until the last instant he put his hands up indicating he didn't see it. Well, you can tell from the shadows, those guys on the right side of the field, first baseman, second baseman, right fielder, looking directly up into the afternoon sun.
That will be it for Waddell. Aaron Heilman is in. It's 4-3 Twins in the seventh. Sox and Cubs on WGN coming up next week. Tuesday night, 6:30 with the leadoff man. Dan Roan will be here at the ballpark with us. Wednesday and Thursday at 1 o'clock. Joe Creedy at the plate against Aaron Heilman. 2 on. Boy, Bob, you'd really like to see the Cubs get through this inning without giving anything back after getting 3 in the 6th to close it to a 1-run deficit. 0-1 pitch smothered by Soto. Bullpen with almost 31 innings on the just completed 8-game road trip at 2.64 ERA. At this point, they haven't given up a run in the ball game. The Twins are threatening 2-1. There's Kadire on deck. Three-one to Creedy. Creedy hit a 3-run homer yesterday in Oakland. Hayes came back late and won that game 4-3. Foul tip, strike 2. Runners not going, and a fly ball right center field. Bradley has a beat on this one. And his throw going toward third will be cut off by Terrio. So 2 down.
Better angle that time for Milton Bradley to get that ball out of the sun and made a really strong throw back to the infield. Unfortunately, it was offline. Ryan Terrio cut it to hold that runner at first base. Keep that force play in order at second.
Kadire 0 for 2. He did walk and score in the 4th inning. A pitch by Heilman, swing and a miss. Good slider from Aaron.
We'll see Heilman throw a lot of sliders. He's basically fastball changeup, and a real good one right there to start the sequence to Kadire.
Another one. Throw to first. Short lead over there by Kubel. Warno at third. Kubel across the way at first. And the fly ball. It's Bradley again. Coming in hard. Lays out. Can't get it. And the Twins get a run. Throw to second is not in time. That's a double for Kadire. 5-3 Minnesota.
Just a little flare off the bat of Michael Kadire from our Southwest Sky Cam. He got jammed badly, just fisted it out there into shallow right field. A long run for Bradley. Just couldn't quite make the play. Got to his feet quickly. Tried to throw Kadire out at second base, but he was able to get in underneath with the slide.
Delman Young with 2 on. Swing and a miss. That run charged to Waddell. Getting ready for our 7th inning stretch. Conducted by Kenny Chesney today. Another foul by Young. Still 0-2. Twins led 4-0. Cubs got 3 in the 6th to get within 1, but the Twins adding some insurance. Fastball that time. He laid off 1-2. Backhanded by Miles. The jump toss.
Oh, yeah.
Right on the money. That's big. Saved another run. Time to sing the stretch.
Out to the ball game is country music star Kenny Chesney.
Hello, Wrigley Field. Are you ready? A 1, a 2, a 3. Me out to the ball game. Take me out. Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back, so just root for. If they know it, it's a shame for at the old ball game. Thank you, Chicago.
Big play by Aaron Miles defensively to keep it a 5-3 game.
Yeah, saved at least 1, maybe 2 runs. Ground ball up the middle of the field. The nice backhanded play, jump, throw, all in one motion. They get Young at first by half a step.
Left-hander Sean Henn is working against Kosuke Fukudome, so starter Slowey is out. And award-winning country music star Kenny Chesney's with us in the booth. Kenny, nice job as always on the 7th inning stretch. Good to see you, man.
Oh, man, it's a pleasure to be back here at Wrigley Field. It's a very special place for me. I got a lot of my band here, my father, his friends. You know, it's one big thing every year we come to Chicago. You know, it's such a great place.
So you're playing tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, we're playing tomorrow night at Soldier Field, and you know, we got the night off, so we're going to be rolling around Wrigleyville a little bit here and there. So you know, it's going to be a lot of fun. Rick Sutcliffe taught me how to do that very well, so I'm going to.
Well, you learned from a master.
I learned from the master. Him and Mark Grace. I tell you, I learned from both those guys.
2-1 on Fukudome. And we know you're a big baseball fan, and great to see Rick Sutcliffe working pretty much full-time these days, coming back from his cancer treatments. Looks great. And
he looks great. He's back to normal. I love him. And really, the first time I met Sut was here. And I didn't realize how one person could own a town like he owns Chicago. But it was unbelievable. And you're right. I learned from the master about how to love this town.
The 2-2 pitch is low and outside. On a fastball, 3-2. Kevin Slowey gave up 3 runs today in 6 innings. He struck out 10 and walked 1. Ryan Terrio on deck. And then Aaron Miles for the Cubs here in the 7th. The kick and the pitch, swing and the miss. Postgame's had a tough day. He has struck out all 3 times. I got to ask you, Kenny, greatest hits 2. When you're putting out multiple greatest hits albums, that's pretty impressive.
Well, you know, it's we've been very blessed. There's no doubt about it. We've you know, when I first got started, I just wanted one song on the radio. You know, I was a kid from East Tennessee, and we've been very blessed. You know, to have one greatest hits album is pretty impressive. But to have, this is our 2nd time around with that, and guys, I got to tell you, this town of Chicago has really been, they've supported me as much or more than any town in the country. And I love coming here to play. The energy of the crowd here is unbelievable. It's I don't know. It's just it's a very passionate town about sports, about music. whatever. And I'm excited to be here today, I can tell you that.
All right, hang with us, Kenny. Pitching
right.
change. We'll be right back. Right-hander Luis Ayala on for the Twins, and on the first pitch he got Ryan Theriot to bounce out to Joe Creedy. So all of a sudden 2 outs. And Creedy was deciding whether to let it go foul or not, but he had a relatively routine play. It's Aaron Miles with 2 gone. Kenny Chesney's in the booth with us.
I wish I could play second base for the Cubs.
That would be your dream, huh?
That's
Second
it.
base for the Cubs.
That's it.
Well, the Cubs would probably have a dream of playing on stage with you tomorrow night. Kenny,
a lot of them are coming, so it'll be fun.
Thanks so much for your time. Have a great
guys,
show
thanks
tomorrow
for having
night.
me back in the booth. I love it. Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
(5-3) Minnesota. Aaron Heilman still on. Facing Nick Punto. Ball 1. Well, that was fast.
Really fast.
In and Ayala. Ayala threw 2 pitches. Got 2 outs. Meanwhile, 2-0 on Punto. And that's a strike. Matt Tolbert, switch hitting infielder, is on deck. Got that one, 2-2. Or check that. Luis Ayala on deck. I have no idea what I was looking at. I was looking for an 18 on the bench. I couldn't find one. I assumed it was a switch hitter. Base hit for Punto, and Ayala is going to take the at-bat. I'll be trying to lay down a bunt. If you're traveling and can't watch your Cubs on TV, you can always catch the game on your computer with MLB.tv. It's the ultimate baseball experience, featuring 100 out-of-market games per week live on your computer, and catch those you missed on demand. For more details, visit Cubs.com, where baseball is always on. You ever heard the term brain cramp? I just had one.
Oh, yeah.
So Ayala pushes the bunt. Heilman will underhand to the second baseman Miles, covering. That's a successful sacrifice. If you'd like to send us an email, lenandbob@chicagonow.com.
Rolling back around to the top of the order for the Twins. The Cubs were able to throw lefties against those 2, 3, 4 hitters in the Twins lineup the last 2 at bats, but Sean Marshall, Jason Waddell both out of the ball game now. No more lefties left in the bullpen. Some right-handers going to have to do battle against the middle of this Twins order.
Now let me ask you this. You think Ron Gardenhire knew Nick Punto was going to lead off the inning with a single, so his pitcher could just lay down a bunt?
Well, if
He's not that good, is he?
If he did, he should be in Vegas rather than here at Wrigley Field.
A little surprised they didn't double switch. But they are short on their bench, as you mentioned. Denard Span not with the team. He's battling dizziness. And apparently so am I. 2 strikes on Harris.
Still trying to recover from that heat and humidity in Houston.
Yeah. Well, in all seriousness, they are doing some tests on Span to try to figure out what is going on with him. It's not the first time he has had some dizzy spells.
Well, Span was a big part of their offense and is a big part of their offense, hitting .291 before today's ball game. 12 stolen bases, had 4 home runs and 24 RBI. Real source of speed in that lineup.
Base hit left field. Punto is going to be stopped at third by Scott Olger. And Harris has 3 hits against his original organization. Here's Mauer. Not an ideal spot. 2 on with Joe Mauer at the plate. Already a home run today. 2 hits, a .413 batting average. He and Justin Morneau coming into action today. 72 combined RBI since May 1st.
That's about as good a 1-2 punch as there is in baseball. I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to look around either league and find back-to-back hitters in the lineup that are capable of doing the kind of damage that these 2 guys are.
The 1-0 pitch. Got the fastball at 94 for strike. Punto led off the inning with his 2nd hit of the day. Harris recently singled. Aaron is the 4th Cubs pitcher of the day. And his 1-1 to Mauer is hit foul.
Well, so far, Aaron Heilman has frozen Mauer with a fastball on the inside corner. He raised his hands and backed away from it, thinking it was off the plate inside, and then actually beat him to the hitting zone that time with a 93-mile-an-hour heater up and out over the plate. I don't know if there's an easy way to get Joe Mauer out, but based on what I've seen today, go after him hard. You throw him an off-speed pitch, you're doing him a favor.
Another fastball too high, and it's 2-2. Mauer was the first overall pick in 2001. Mark Pryor was taken 2nd by the Cubs in that draft. Long pause by Heilman. Now the pitch. Moved his hands. It's full.
Pretty safe bet to start that runner at first base if Ron Gardenhire chooses to do so. Mauer has only struck out 20 times all season. He's going to put the ball in play somewhere.
Harris takes off and a fly ball to right. And Bradley plays it off to the side, and he doesn't know how many outs there are. He just throws the ball into the bleachers. That's only the 2nd out of the inning. And that allows, not only Punto was going to score either way on a sac fly, but it allows Harris to go all the way to the 3rd. It's now 6-3. So a sacrifice fly for Mauer. And a mental error by Milton Bradley.
Boy, when it goes bad, it goes bad. Just remarkable the number of mistakes that not only Milton Bradley but this Cubs team in general has made just in the most basic fundamentals of the game. Remarkable.
A sacrifice for Mauer and an error on Bradley. And Morneau pops it up. Terrio's out. Fukudome, Soriano. It's Alfonso to haul it in. And Cub fans not pleased at the moment. Did not cost them a run, but they're not happy. It's 6-3. Well, Milton Bradley charged with an error as he thought he had caught the ball for the third out. It was only the second out. The run was going to score either way because it was plenty deep enough, but it did allow Brendan Harris to go from first to third as he tossed the ball up into the bleachers and right. And the fans let him hear about it as he went back into the dugout. Micah Hoffpower will hit for the pitcher Heilman. Bottom of the 8th, 6-3 Twins. Well, I think one of the worst series, probably the worst series you and I have ever seen the Cubs play, was in Minnesota in 2006. Now, it was a totally different team. Cubs were struggling at the time, and the Twins ran all around the Metrodome and sweeping them. This has been aesthetically not a very pleasing day either, with all the strikeouts and then that mental error. But that one really has nothing to do with playing the Twins. It's just knowing how many outs there are. We showed you the scoreboard earlier, but the scoreboard is not the official keeper of the outs. You're supposed to know how many there are.
Well, and after every out that's recorded, the middle infielders make it a practice to turn around and let the outfielders know by holding one finger or two fingers up in the air how many outs there are in the inning. So that's really one of those inexcusable things. It happens in the game all the time. Milton Bradley's not alone. It happens all the time, but it should never happen.
One strike on Soriano, who's 0 for 3. Ayala from the windup. Former member of the Expos / Nationals, so Cubs have seen him before in National League play. David Patton getting ready. Ayala also a former Met. Well, I know in talking to some people who watch this Twins team every day, Guerrero is the righty. Harris is the lefty. That the Twins do put a lot of pressure on you. They run everything out. And they do everything they can to do those little things that we talk about all the time.
Hey, you know, the only reason they're called little things is because they don't make the highlight reels at the end of the day. You don't see the ball flying up into the stands. You don't see guys diving and making catches. It's just solid fundamental baseball. We call them the little things because they don't get the attention they deserve. But when you're playing winning baseball, they are the only thing.
Again, the Twins are under 500. They're 2 under. Right now in second place in their division. Hooked foul. Will be a souvenir for one of the 41,509 crammed into Wrigley Field. Base hit right field for Soriano. Good things happen, as his manager says, when he goes the other way. Let's step aside and see what's coming up on WGN.
Movie Underground, tonight at 8 East 5 West on WGN America.
Pitching change coming up. Jose Mijares is coming in with left-hander Mike Fontenot due up, but it's going to be Reed Johnson to take the at-bat. 6-3 Twins in the 8th. Jose Mijares from Caracas, Venezuela. He's not going to face Mike Fontenot. Instead, it'll be pinch hitter Reed Johnson. Soriano at first with 1 out. We're in the 8th, and Reed just got hit. The tying run's going to come up. It'll be switch hitting Milton Bradley, who will now bat right-handed.
Well, the amazing thing about this game, Len, you make some mistakes, you make some mental mistakes, you make physical mistakes, but the game always gives you an opportunity to redeem yourself at some point.
And Bradley has that opportunity. After forgetting how many outs there were out and right. Ball 1 on Bradley. By the way, he has 2 hits and 2 RBIs at the plate. Got the Cubs going with a 2-run double in the 6th inning. It's 1-1 on Bradley. Kick and the 1-1 bouncer foul into the dugout. A single and a hit batter, bringing the tying run to the plate. Soriano, the lead man at second. Reed Johnson is at first. 1-2. Knocked down by Bauer. Yeah, he can play defense too. He won a Gold Glove last season. Two on Bradley. The next pitch. Broke his bat. Left field. Young the slide, the catch. Throw back to second. Soriano gets back in time. So Young with a sliding catch. And it'll bring up Derek Lee with 2 outs.
Harris with a little cut fastball got right in on the hands of Milton Bradley. Looked like that ball might drop initially, but Delman Young closed ground in a hurry, made a nice sliding catch. Soriano back safely at second.
And that's it for Mijares. Matt Guerrero, a righty, coming on to face Lee, with the Twins leading 6-3. Righty Matt Guerrero, 2-0 with a .231 over his last 16 appearances. Hasn't given up a lot of hits, doesn't walk many, and he faces Derek Lee. 2 on in the 8th. Strike 1. looking ahead, their closer is Joe Nathan. He's a three-time All-Star. 0-1. Base hit left field. Soriano is going to be sent by Mike Quaddy. Delman Young up with it. Throw's going to be not in time. 6-4. Lee's on base streak and hit streak continuing. 11 games with the hits, 21 games on base, and his second RBI today.
Lee gets a fastball. Thigh high out over the plate, reaches out there and hooks it back in that hole on the left side. Mike Quaddy waited a long time before finally waving Soriano on around the bag at third. Young's throw way wide of the plate. Then sneaking back into it.
Brings up Soto. Johnson now the runner at second. Lee is at first. Tapper foul. Gio with 2 strikeouts and a pop out. In the air. And it's Kadire to end the inning. The Cubs get 1 on the Derek Lee 2-out RBI single. Off to the 9th. 6-4 Twins. Alfonso Soriano has played 2 innings as a Cub at second base. And here's inning number 3. The Cubs make a bunch of changes. Aaron Miles goes to third with Fontenot out. Michael Hoffpower into play left for Soriano. Rookie righty David Patton will do the pitching. Jason Kubel, strike 1. By the way, in case you're wondering, Alfonso Soriano's major league debut came as a shortstop with the Yankees 10 years ago. That's a deep fly ball for Jason Kubel. Gone. 7-4. Tenth home run for Kubel. He kind of gets lost in the shuffle. He's their cleanup man. And then you have Bauer and Morneau, and then all of a sudden there's Kubel hitting in the 300s with 10 homers now.
That's his 10th home run, 36th RBI on the season. Came on a breaking ball. That ball's way out of here with the wind still blowing in from right center.
It's normally their DH, but today playing right. Back to Soriano for a second. Most of his time early in his career was as a second baseman. We're talking 155, 156 games a year at second. He was only converted to the outfield in 2006 when he went to Washington. And remember that Frank Robinson was the manager, and Soriano didn't really want to go there at first, but then he embraced it. And at least today in the 9th, he's back at second. And just the 3rd time with the Cubs. Creedy grounds to Terrio.
Time now to look at today's AM/PM Cubs player of the game. Aaron Miles with an infield hit. Not only did he get an infield hit offensively, he took one away defensively. Made a great play up the middle of the field. The jump throw back to first base just in time. Once again, that's today's AM/PM Cubs player of the game. Too much good stuff.
Nothing in 1 to Kadire. Twins have got contributions from all over their lineup today. They have spread it around.
I'll tell you one thing I've noticed about this Twins lineup today, and it's one game. It's hard to make a judgment based on one ball game, but when you throw a breaking ball for a strike, they get some pretty good rips at it. Kubal's home run came on a breaking ball. Good swing right there that time by Kadire on a breaking ball in the strike zone. Not sure if there's anything to be gathered from that to move forward the next 2 games of this series, but well, they take their hacks at those breaking balls.
Well, is it because maybe they see more of them in the American League? I mean, that's always been kind of what you hear about the 2 leagues and the differences.
I think those differences, yeah, maybe in the past that was true, but I think it's a pretty homogeneous game right now. I mean, we see pitchers in the National League throwing 2-0 sliders, 3-1 sliders. I think it really just depends on the individual pitcher more so than trying to lump all the pitchers in one league together and saying these guys are all fastball pitchers and these guys are all breaking ball pitchers. I don't think you can do that anymore. I think the umpiring has a lot to do with that. When the umpires joined and no longer did you have American League umps and National League umps, the strike zone became a little more uniform. Maybe some of that difference between the 2 leagues has gone away.
Fukudome, Terrio, and Miles due up in the bottom of the 9th, and it'll be against Joe Nathan. By the way, Nathan hasn't had an ERA above 2 since 2005. He's pretty good.
It makes you wonder how in the world this Twins team came into play today, 2 games under 500.
I'm with you. Terrio will handle all the chances. Kuba with a leadoff home run. It will be a saved chance for Nathan. It's 7-4. Carlos Gomez is now playing center. Kadire moves from center to right. And here's Joe Nathan.
Another strike thrower is Joe Nathan. Only 5 walks on the season. Throws extremely hard.
Kosuke grounds right to Creedy, who throws him out. Seven 4 Twins in the bottom of the 9th. Cubs coming off a 4-4 road trip. This is the first of 9 on this homestand. All coming against the American League Central. The 1-0 pitch. 4 seamers high. 2-0. Terrio batting 7th today, and he's 0 for 3. Fly ball center field. Gomez with no problem. 2 outs. Cubs in jeopardy of dropping back to 500 for what would be the 11th time already this year. Twins have been at 500 12 times. It's up to Aaron Miles to keep the Cubs alive. He's got his whole jersey on. Pants too.
It's a little overkill there, pal. Well, maybe he's got a game after the game.
Might be.
Run over to Lincoln Park and play a little softball.
One pitch. Now it's 1-2. As we mentioned, a lot of Twin fans made the trip here to Wrigley Field. The kick and the 1-2 in on his hands. That evens a count at 2 apiece. Went from 04 to 08 for Joe Nathan. At least 36 saves with an ERA that's under 2 in 4 of those 5 years. Ground ball charged by Harris, and the Twins take the opener of this series as Nathan goes 1-2-3 in the 9th. 7-4 the final score as Slowey defeats Wells. Nathan, the save. Cubs drop to 500 at 29 and 29. We'll have more from Wrigley Field in a moment.
Chicago Cubs baseball on WGN TV, your official summer baseball station. Brought to you by Bud Light Lime, the drinkability of Bud Light with the refreshing taste of lime. The Illinois Lottery. Play the Illinois Lottery. Have a ball. Comcast. Catch more games in HD on Comcast Digital Cable. Call 1-888 for Best TV today. By Pepsi. Every generation refreshes the world. Visit refresheverything.com. And by Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines is ready when you are. Go to southwest.com. Grab your bag. It's on.
Your final totals now for the Minnesota Twins: 7 runs, 14 hits, no errors, 9 left on base for the Cubs. 4 runs, 6 hits, 1 error, 4 stranded. The winning pitcher, Kevin Slowey, he is the second major leaguer this season to get to 9 wins. Roy Halladay has 10. Randy Wells takes the loss. He's 0-3. Joe Nathan notching his 14th save. 2 hours and 56 minutes in front of 41,509. Today's Budweiser play of the game ended up being the game-winning home run because the Twins took a 2-0 lead on this Joe Mauer blast in the 3rd and never looked back.
Well, we were told right before the ball game that Mauer and Morneau both good opposite field power, and Joe Mauer displayed that in his second at bat of the ball game.
Reach for the perfect balance of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager. Our next WGN broadcast of Cubs baseball will be Sunday when the Cubs wrap up this series against the Twins. Coverage starts at 1 o'clock with the leadoff man Scott Baker and Ted Lilly on the mound. Once again, our final score today: Twins 7, Cubs 4. Stay with us. We'll have the 10th inning show coming up next. Twins beat the Cubs 7-4 as the Northsiders start a 9-game homestand, all against the American League Central. So the Cubs dropped to 29-29, 3 back of Milwaukee in the Central Division. Again, the Brewers hosting the White Sox this weekend. Cubs right now in 4th in the Central. Stay with us. We'll have the highlights of this game right after this.
The 10th inning is brought to you by Culver's. Come into Culver's for a great treat and get Culverized.
Twins 7, Cubs 4, the final game 1 of this 3-game interleague series. Let's check out the highlights. Talked about Joe Mauer. Excellent opposite field power. 13 home runs. He has already tied his career high. That was a 2-run blast to get the Twins going in the 3rd inning against Randy Wells. Kevin Slowey bouncing into a 6-4-3 double play. With the Twins adding a run, they would lead 4-0 as Brendan Harris sent Wells to the showers in the 4th. In the 6th inning, Cubs on a comeback trail. 2-run double by Milton Bradley out in the well. And the Cubs would get to within 1. Derek Lee hitting into a fielder's choice, but a tough day for Bradley on the bases, running into an out. In the 7th inning, a fly ball, and Bradley diving, just can't get it. And then in the 8th inning, the Joe Mauer sacrifice fly. And Bob, this is probably the play a lot of people are going to be talking about.
Yeah, Milton Bradley just lost track of how many outs in the inning, tossed the ball up in the stands. Fortunately, it didn't cost the Cubs any more runs, but once again, another fundamental mistake.
So for the Cubs in the bottom of the 8th, second RBI of the day for Derek Lee, and he extends his hitting streak to 11, knocking in Alfonso Soriano. Jason Kubel on a breaking ball that was up from David Patton into the bleachers and right. And that made it 7-4 as the Twins beat the Cubs in game 1. We'll have the Culver's defensive play of the game and have a final word from the ballpark in a moment.
The 10th inning is brought to you by Culver's. Come into Culver's for a great treat and get Culverized. The 10th inning has been brought to you by Culver's. Come into Culver's for a great treat and get Culverized.
Time for our Culver's sweet defensive play of the game. Aaron Miles, kind of like Bobby Scales yesterday with the excellent pick and the jump throw. Thank you, Culver's. Our next WGN Cubs telecast Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock for the leadoff man. Right-handers Scott Baker, lefty Ted Lilly, as these two teams wrap up the series. That'll wrap up our broadcast today. Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you Sunday at 1. The final today, the Twins 7, the Cubs 4.